It was raining hard that night, the kind of rain that made you question every life choice that led you to a leaky roof and an overdue electricity bill. Ethan Carter, a 32-year-old single dad, sat by the dim light of his old lamp, scrolling through job listings he'd already applied to twice. His 8-year-old daughter, Lily, slept soundly on the couch beside him, clutching her favorite stuffed bear. The house was small, the air cold, and his hope thinner than the walls keeping the storm out. When a soft knock echoed through the hallway, Ethan didn't know that his life was about to change forever. On the other side of that door stood a young woman, drenched, shivering, and carrying a secret worth billions. She looked too young to be out in a storm like this, maybe 20, no more. "I'm sorry to bother you," she said softly, brushing the rain from her face. "I'm looking for a room. I saw your ad." Ethan blinked, half surprised anyone saw the old flyer he'd tacked on the community board weeks ago. She smiled nervously, trying to look brave, but her trembling fingers told a different story. "Come in," he said quickly, moving aside. "You shouldn't be out there." She stepped in, and the warm light of the living room caught her face, kind, delicate, but with a sadness that didn't belong to someone her age. Ethan offered her a towel and a cup of coffee. "I'm Ethan, and that's my daughter, Lily. She's shy, but she'll warm up to you." The girl nodded, smiling faintly. "I'm Emma," she said after a pause, her eyes darting to the sleeping child. "I can pay the rent on time, I promise." He chuckled. "You'll be the first tenant to say that." But she wasn't laughing. She looked almost relieved, like this rundown house was safer than whatever she'd left behind. Over the next few weeks, Emma settled into the spare room quietly. She was polite, humble, and oddly private. She took classes at the local college, helped Lily with homework, and sometimes stayed up late reading near the kitchen table while Ethan worked night shifts. There was a gentleness in the way she listened, and soon the house began to feel lighter, filled with laughter, small conversations, and something Ethan hadn't felt in a long time. Peace point. One night, Lily asked Emma if she had a family. The question froze her for a moment. She smiled tightly. "There, far away," she said, looking down at her cup. But Ethan saw the flicker in her eyes, the pain of something deeper. He didn't pry, after all. He knew what it felt like to have a past you didn't want to relive. What Ethan didn't know was that Emma wasn't just any college girl. She was Emma Beaumont, daughter of billionaire industrialist Charles Beaumont, the kind of man who appeared on magazine covers with headlines about power, money, and empires. But Emma wasn't interested in any of it. Her father's wealth had built her a golden cage, one she'd run from after he tried to arrange her future, her education, her marriage, even her identity. She wanted to live like a real person, not a headline. And here, in this old house with a struggling father and his sweet daughter, she'd finally found something she'd never had before. Family weeks turned into months. Ethan and Emma became each other's quiet strength. She cooked dinner when he worked late, and he fixed her old bike when it broke down. They shared stories about broken dreams and new beginnings. Sometimes, she'd catch him watching her when she laughed with Lily, and for the first time in years, he'd feel something dangerous and beautiful stir in his heart. But peace never lasts forever. One evening, Ethan came home early and found a black car parked outside his house, a sleek luxury sedan that looked out of place in his neighborhood. Two men in suits were waiting by it. Emma was on the porch, pale and tense. "Ethan," she whispered, her voice breaking. "I have to tell you something." The truth spilled out like a confession she'd carried for too long. The name Beaumont hit him like a shockwave. He stared at her, torn between disbelief and betrayal. "So you're saying, you've been lying to me all this time?" She shook her head, tears streaming down her cheeks. "I never lied about who I am inside. I just wanted to be someone normal. I didn't want money or fame, I just wanted to feel real." Ethan turned away, anger and heartbreak clashing in his chest. "Real," he said bitterly. "Emma, everything about you was a secret. I opened my home to you, let my daughter love you, and you couldn't even trust me with your name." Emma's father's men tried to persuade her to leave, but she refused until she'd said goodbye to Lily. The little girl hugged her tightly, tears falling onto Emma's shoulder. "Will you come back?" Lily whispered. Emma smiled weakly. "I'll try, sweet girl." Then she looked at Ethan, his eyes cold but wounded, and whispered, "Thank you for giving me a home." She left that night, and the house felt emptier than ever. Days passed into weeks. Ethan threw himself into work, but every time he passed Emma's empty room, he felt the silence echo in his chest. Lily kept asking when Emma would come back, and he didn't have the heart to say she might never. Then, one morning, a letter arrived. No return address, just his name written in elegant handwriting. Inside was a note. Dear Ethan, you showed me what family really means. You made me see that love has nothing to do with money or names. I hope one day you'll forgive me for not trusting you sooner. Emma. Under the note was a deed, his mortgage fully paid, his house officially his. Ethan dropped to his knees, tears flooding his eyes. He didn't care about the money, it was the message behind it that broke him. She hadn't forgotten. Months later, as the first snow fell, Ethan and Lily went to a Christmas fair in town. Among the crowd, Lily suddenly squealed, "Daddy! Look!" Standing near the Christmas tree, wearing that same shy smile, was Emma. She wasn't surrounded by bodyguards or wealth, just standing there, like she belonged. Ethan froze for a moment before walking toward her. She looked nervous, clutching a small wrapped gift. "I didn't know if you'd want to see me," she said quietly. He looked at her for a long second, then smiled faintly. "You rented a room in my life, Emma, but you ended up owning my heart." Her eyes filled with tears as Lily hugged her legs, and for the first time in a long time, everything felt whole again. The snow kept falling, the lights glowed softly around them, and as they stood together, Ethan realized something powerful: love doesn't care where you come from or what your name is. Sometimes, the richest hearts are found in the poorest homes, and sometimes, a simple rented room can become the place where two broken souls finally find home.